oh shit. And he looks over at me and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, it's fine. Like, I'm going to roast you for it for the next 20 years.
Oh, please. Until you guys die.
Yeah.
The number of times that I have heard this story, I should start telling it, actually. In fact, at your wedding, that's going to be my job.
And he is just like so mortified. And I was like already like, I remember him telling me that he was going to make me this like roast chicken with roasted grapes. And I was like, that's weird. The roasted grapes were fucking fire. They were so good. They were perfect mashed potatoes. The Brussels sprouts were delicious. And like the chicken was really well seasoned. It just wasn't cooked. And he apologized over and over and over again and didn't cook meat for me for like months after that.
Oh, I would have, again, I know that this is hard for especially you to believe, but that would have been like, I would have burst into tears immediately.
He really beat himself up about it. And I was like, honestly, it's really okay. I'm just going to tease you for it. Like, I'm not upset. I still,
also,
I still made out with him after that meal.
I want to know, like, here's the deal.
We're getting married, so clearly it's fine.
For as much shit as I give my own self, and like the way that we like poke at one another, like tease one another, I want to know on what fucking planet would somebody take the time and the effort to come into your home and make you a meal and like to be, I don't give a fuck if it's like the idea that like Liam could potentially feel like that was going to be like a deal breaker, or that like, what kind of shitbag are you if you were like, you know what, you have to leave.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, and this concludes this evening's date. Like what? Like what?
I think we should see other people.
Yeah, like I mean,
no, but you showed up at my house with like all of these ingredients. He, much like you do sometimes, he hauled his Dutch oven,
bro,
from the west side of town to Capitol Hill.
I take that bitch with me wherever I go.
Yeah, like, it's your emotional support Dutch oven.
Oh my God, it really is. Let's make t-shirts. Speaking of which, it's literally at Anaya's apartment right now because of the same thing.
Yeah, that Dutch oven actually no longer lives with us. It lives with my brother.
But, yeah, it's my emotional support. It goes everywhere with me. And I remember the first time I made Anaya dinner at his house, the first questions I asked were, do you have a cutting board that's not glass? And do you have a sharp knife? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It is intimidating to go into, it's intimidating, even if it's something that you know that you love doing. It's intimidating to cook for somebody for the first time. But to actually go to their house, and that was what number, how many times had you guys seen each other at that point?
That was our third date.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? I think I had been seeing Anaya for a couple weeks, a few weeks at that point. And even then I remember like slicing fennel, and like I didn't have like a mandolin, you know what I mean? And so I am like really focused on, I'm like, and I see him, like taking, like I lean over and he's like taking, and Anaya, they don't know Anaya, but like Anaya kind of like taking pictures like you and I do of like people cook, like that's not really his thing. So he's taking like sneak photos to like send to his friends, and I'm like, what are you doing? Or I'm like,
he's like, there's a hot lady in my kitchen.
Yeah, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like that's
really funny.
So intimidating, and
it is intimidating. And so like when somebody takes the time and like effort to show up to feed you in your own home, like that's impressive in and of itself.
That's impressive in itself.
I think that is something that I find...
It's the intention behind it.
Exactly. And, like, there are very few places where intention outweighs impact.
That's one of those times.
That's one of those times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because, like, I mean, going to a restaurant is a completely different experience. Like, I'm paying you this money. Like, I want my food to be good. That's a little bit different of a vibe. But we are getting back into... the topic of this episode is like, folks are going to be out here feeding people for whatever intention, right? Whether that is like, do you want to marry me someday kind of intention? Do you want to welcome me into your friend circle and or your family? And I think a lot of times, especially for me, people like me, not other people, but I have the capacity to suck a lot of joy out of it for myself on occasion.
Yes.
By pressurizing it too much,
Uh-huh.
you know? And so when you're out here cooking for people, it's like in intention. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
have
like
fun.
let it be an act of like service and an act of love as opposed to means to be mean to yourself.
And also, like, on that note, like, let's use some of our like critical thinking and our like common sense kind of vibes. We're not You're not going to pull out all of the stops with like 4 new fucking recipes that you've never made before.
No.
Like, that is a surefire way to add way more stress on top of an already semi-pressurized, if that's something that you're like, man, I really want to get this right, I really want to impress these folks,
right? Like, this is not the time to
fuck around with a new recipe by somebody that you've never heard of in a book that you've never read.
Right. Like, this is a great time to come back to something that is like maybe like a staple, or maybe a comfort food, or maybe something that has like a story attached to it.
A culinary trick up your sleeve that's been up there for a moment.
Right. Like if for, that is what risotto is for me, right? It is this thing that is kind of this like family tradition. Mm-hmm. It is, you knew it was going to be like a really delicious evening if you walked in and you saw Perry with like his ladle of broth and like the baseball game on in the background. Like, you knew that it was going to be like a really delicious evening.
Yep.
And that to me like is more meaningful. If you are trying to impress somebody, you're trying to impress somebody with like the story behind it. If
For
you're
sure.
like, yeah, sure, you could impress me with some like over the top, I don't know what, fancy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also impress me with like
such a well done grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Oh my god, yes, absolutely.
like
you could impress me with a grilled cheese and tomato soup. You could impress me with like boxed mac and cheese if you like
jazzed her on up.
If you jazzed it up a little bit.
You put some peas in it.
Or if you're like, yeah, like this is why this is the meal that I'm making. Like, tell me the story.
Yep.
Tell me that it's like, oh yeah, this is
the reason that I love it.
This is the first thing that I learned to cook.
Right.
Or this is the thing, like I took this cooking class when I was traveling and I've been like trying to master this ever since.
For so long, that's what green enchiladas were.
Yeah.
And that's why I just made them to salve,
Yeah.
Like, I was partially raised by this woman that was not kind for like a million different reasons, and the older that I get, I understand that some of that was like cultural and some of that was like her own shit, but that woman, without a shadow of a doubt, is to this day like the best home cook that I have ever known. And so I remember being in like my teens, like 16, and we don't have access to tomatillos in rural Minnesota. You know what I mean? So like, I know how to make fresh tomatillo sauce, but I'm using the shit out of a jar, right? But it was like one of the first things that I learned like top to bottom how to prepare.
Right.
And so for the longest time when I had people come over, and that's not necessarily, I mean, I love it. It's like it says like home. It's like high key comfort food vibes.
Yeah.
And so for things like meal train stuff, like it's like a lasagna adjacent. It's in a pan. You'll have leftovers. You whack it in the oven to reheat it. You don't have to fuck with a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's the story behind it. You know what I mean? Like, it's chicken, cheese, tortillas, and a homemade sauce, right? Like, it's not some fussy. It's not fussy food, but it's good food.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Your shit doesn't have to be fussy to be impressive.
Yeah.
Like, let it be known.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And we talk about, our love of just like simple food that is done really well.
Yep.
And something that I really love. So my sister-in-law is a food person. Like, she is, she has a master's in food anthropology.
Which is so
cool. So cool. And she's like really, really loves food and loves like food as a vehicle for connection and for community. From like planting seeds, like literally planting seeds
Literal,
to
actual seeds.
like making fabulous meals. And one of the things that she has said to me is just like, I really stopped giving a shit about like things having to look a certain way because it was taking away from the fun of it. It was taking away from the pleasure of it. It was taking away from this idea that like
I was just reading about
food
this
is a
and
way to
talking
like
about this.
communicate love.
Right.
And like, I don't know, for me, love doesn't come with like tweezered garnishes.
No, fuck no. not even close.
No. So if you are worried that whatever you're cooking for, you know, whatever holiday, be it, you know, Jesus's birthday or
Hanukkah,
colonizer day or whatever, maybe it's somebody's birthday. Maybe you just want to like make somebody a nice meal.
Maybe you're having a Halloween party.
Maybe like do less.
Do less, man.
Do less. Let it be simple. Let it be easy.
Let it
so
be
that,
a source of pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll love to give advice that I'm not very good at taking.
That's, yeah.
And I learned this along the way. And I mean, I absolutely like, I know this, I inherently know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, take some shit off your plate so that you can like put the good shit on your plate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, don't be in there, you know, being like, you know what I'm going to do for the first time that I've never fucking done before? I'm going to grill octopus. Like, don't stop it. Stop. Don't do that.
No.
You know, and if you're like, man, what if you are like a novice, right? Like maybe you don't cook that often, but you really want to. I'm going braised meat or I'm going some kind of sauce, some kind of gravy situation.
Make a soup. Make fucking soup.
Make a stew.
It doesn't have to be some.
It does not have to be fussy.
It doesn't have to be fussy. It doesn't have to be like. It doesn't have to be sophisticated in order to be impressive.
Amen. And also, what the fuck is sophistication?
Yeah.
It's not.
Also, sophisticated is a made-up concept, so it's just screw it.
If you feel like it's not going to be good enough if you're not plating shit with tweezers, like I assure you, that's not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited. I know you're going to be gone for.
I'm excited. I think this is the first like holiday season where my like all of my family is going to be home in a really long time.
Really cool.
And our partners have not experienced the hilarity of a Croft Birch family holiday gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really excited for that.
I am existing on a plane of I mean, like I know that I'm going to have several opportunities over to like play restaurant and host and feed the people that I love this holiday season. And I am riding the coattails of like I have no fucking clue what's happening. I also don't have my kids this holiday season. And so like this is and also like time is a construct, right? Like we will absolutely do things with the kids. Even if it doesn't fall on
totally
Jesus' birthday, you know. But I am experiencing the holidays in a completely different way where I am like kind of put into the center of my partner's people and like seeing what happens. So instead of being like the facilitator, I'm kind of the attendee. And like instead of you know, having anxiety about that or being like, fuck, what am I going to do? Like, I'm just going to let myself exist there.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like these next few months are really going to fly.
I told you, October rolls around and then it might as well be Christmas and then the year's over.
Yeah. It's a lot. So I also hope that the food that I cook, whether it is impressive or not, is food that really encourages us all to like slow down a little bit. I feel like that is part of the appeal of a braise or a soup or a, you know, a kanji or something like
It's
that.
literally saying